interest, and depending on how repetitious you would be in your contributions, the House Business Committee agreed that we may reduce the time to 3 minutes per member. But as it is, you passed a motion, that a motion of this nature, 2.5 hours, 10 minutes for majority, 10 minutes for minority, 5 minutes for each contributor. So, Majority Leader, you are called upon to move the motion. I see names already on the screen. If they are not for this motion, wipe them out and log in afresh so that we give everybody a fair chance to contribute. Majority Leader.
Majority Leader. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the adoption of the National Dialogue Committee's report, or what was christened NADCO. And this report, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the National Dialogue Committee, which was laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 7th December 2023. Honorable Speaker, I was saying this report culminated from a long process that began with the bipartisan talks that were co-chaired by the Honorable Murugara and the Honorable Otiende Omolo. Let me take this opportunity to thank those two members and the members of the bipartisan team that formed the basis of our talks, Honorable Speaker, because we benefited immensely from the work that the two gentlemen had begun through the bipartisan talks. Honorable Speaker, allow me to also take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, my co-chair, and the leader of the delegation from the Azimio side, and ably assisted by the leader of minority, and also thank the other members of the committee, including my deputy, the Honorable Cecily Mbarire, the governor for Embu County, the Honorable Aaron Cheruyot, Honorable Hassan Omar, the Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, Honorable Amina Mnyazi, and of course I've mentioned the leader of my minority, the Honorable Pio Wandai. Honorable Speaker, this report, or rather the NADCO committee, considered all the 5 issues that we had agreed. And you remember, Honorable Speaker, many of us had other issues besides the 5 issues, and we framed our issues around 5 thematic areas: on electoral justice and related matters, outstanding constitutional matters, fidelity to political parties and coalitions, and the law on multi-party democracy, entrenching of funds into the Constitution, and issues. And I don't to dwell into all the recommendations that came out of the report. Members, you remember, is a very bulky report that also factored in memoranda and submissions from many Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, we were able to listen to very many Kenyans who submitted memoranda to us, from about 258 written memoranda that were sent to the committee. 60 stakeholders appeared before the committee, and we listened to over 704 persons. And that tells you, Honorable Speaker, that this report factored in views from very many Kenyans from across the country. Honorable Speaker, we also have a retinue of proposals on legislative instruments or statutory instruments that emanated from this report. And Honorable Speaker, we have a total of 9 legislative instruments or legislative proposals that we shall be submitting to Parliament for publication upon the adoption of this report. And key among these legislative proposals, Honorable Speaker, touch on IEBC, on electoral justice and electoral reforms, Honorable Speaker. And there are quite a number of legislative proposals, beginning with the reconstitution of the IEBC panel. We have proposed amendments to the IEBC Act of 2011 to provide that the selection panel, Honorable Speaker, will be reconstituted. Honorable Speaker, you remember the courts only a few weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, in trying to cure the lacuna that exists in law, because you know the panel as it is today, Honorable Speaker, has no timelines, and they could take forever, Honorable Speaker. But with the amendment, besides reconstituting the IBC panel and growing the membership from 7 to 9 members to ensure that we have a cross-section of views and interest groups accommodated within the selection panel, we are also creating a timeline, and the panel will now be required to finalize the exercise within 90 days. From the day that the panel is appointed, they must complete the work and submit the nominees to the President, and they shall stand dissolved thereafter. Honorable Speaker, we have also allowed the Parliament, both houses, using a simple majority, the latitude to extend time for this panel should they need more time than the 90 days that will be provided for under the new act, should we adopt or rather enact the legislative proposal that amends the IBC Act of 2011. Honorable Speaker, it is also noteworthy that the committee has recommended a transitional clause to provide that the selection panel existing immediately at the commencement date of the Act will cease to exist, but any person who is working in that panel is eligible to be renominated by any of the nominating bodies, Honorable Speaker. So therefore, for instance, the political parties liaison committee that had 2 nominees, they will now have 3 nominees under the new panel, and any of the nominees that were under that selection panel could be renominated by the political parties liaison committee, or in that case, even those under the Parliamentary Service Commission, they can renominate the same people. Those under LSK can, if the selection bodies desire, they can renominate the same people. Honorable Speaker, critical among the other changes, Honorable Speaker, is a recommendation by the committee to Article 89 of the Constitution on delimitation of boundaries. Honorable Speaker, again, you know the courts have also pronounced themselves on the question of delimitation of boundaries, and we had a statutory deadline that lapses at the end of March, which is only next month, Honorable Speaker. And it is therefore not practical under the circumstances to be able to delimit boundaries within a period of a few weeks after the adoption of this report. And therefore, we are proposing that Article 89 of the Constitution is amended to provide for extension of the period for conduct of the review of the constituency's boundaries by IBC, where for any reason, like the case is this time, the review of the names and boundaries of constituencies is not completed within the time stipulated under Article 89(2) of the Constitution. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we shall also be bringing those amendments. Honorable Speaker, on audit of the 2022 presidential elections, we did engage in this matter, and we agreed that in line with the constitutional provisions, Honorable Speaker, that we evaluate all our presidential and election processes. We agreed that we shall not be reviewing since the presidential election was settled, and that is a matter now beyond us, Honorable Speaker, and settled by the Supreme Court. But we shall, in line with our constitutional provisions, be evaluating, or rather have a process of an evaluation of the 2022 electoral process, so that, Honorable Speaker, we ensure that future elections, beginning with the 2027 elections, Kenyans are certain that the election results are credible, and the entire electoral process, right from registration of voters, Honorable Speaker, up to the time votes are tallied and winners announced, be it for MCA all the way to governor and presidential elections, that Kenyans can be certain that those elections have followed a process that ensures the entire process is credible, Honorable Speaker.